This is your host, Danny, and this is Word Power from English Plus Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to learn 10 new words in the context of our topic for today, giving gifts. These 10 words are pitfall, universal, etiquette, potential, antagonize, breach, offensive, eliminate, alienate, and cultural. But before we start, allow me to give a big thanks to Alina Mazurshek, who just became a patron of our learning community. Alina, thank you very much for your generous contribution, and know that every contribution you make is going to benefit this learning community and is going to help us survive, grow, and thrive. And this is also a call for everyone who's listening to me right now. If you would like to help English Plus help our learning community survive, please become a patron. You will enjoy some special benefits that are exclusive to patrons, but I know that this is not the biggest thing you have in mind. The greatest thing you will be doing is that you will be helping our learning community stay alive. Thank you, Alina, and all the other patrons who are making our learning community stronger. And now let's get back to our word power, giving gifts. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let me remind you that you have a lot on the website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com. The link is in the description. It will take you to the custom post I created for this episode. There you will have exercises, interactive activities, and a PDF downloadable worksheet for your practice. And if you would like to make these words part of your active vocabulary bank, you need to practice the words, because it's great to listen to them now and understand everything. That will be perfect. But if you want to remember these words later on, you need to practice, and I got you covered. Everything you need is in this post on my website. Just take the link, go there and practice. And of course, there's the second link that will take you to my Patreon page. Take this link and become a patron. Help us survive, grow, and thrive. With your help, everything is possible. Now, without further ado, let's start with our topic for today, and then we will talk about the 10 words. Today, people travel farther and faster than at any time in history. While travel provides many opportunities to encounter new peoples and new cultures, it also has certain pitfalls. For example, many people attempt to show their goodwill toward others by offering gifts. Although giving gifts to show friendship is an almost universal practice, gift-giving customs are not the same the world over. Each country has its own set of rules. If you give a gift to someone from another country or culture, it is important to know the etiquette of that country. Otherwise, an act meant to show friendship might have the potential to upset both the giver and the receiver. The wrong gift can insult or antagonize the person who receives it. It can damage a friendship rather than strengthen it. Flowers are popular gifts for many occasions, yet not all flowers are a good choice. Yellow daisies given to a sick friend would be a serious breach of etiquette in certain areas. In some countries, yellow is a color you give an enemy, so giving yellow flowers to a friend would be quite offensive. White flowers, too, can be a poor choice. In China, white, not black, is the color of mourning, so white is linked with death. You cannot eliminate gift-giving problems entirely simply by avoiding flowers. Other types of gifts can also be the source of embarrassment or even a direct insult. In some cultures, giving the gift of a clock could alienate the recipient rather than drawing him or her closer to you. This is because clocks or watches are seen as reminders of death. Since clocks measure life, each tick brings a person closer to life's end. In several countries, people avoid giving anything sharp, such as knives, because such objects are seen as signs that the giver wishes to cut the friendship short. With so many cultural differences, you may wonder how international business people can stay out of trouble. How do they learn the unspoken rules of the countries they visit? Many international businesses now hire experts to advise them on such matters. These people explain all the important customs of a country. They know how to choose gifts that make everyone smile. So, that was our story about giving gifts. I hope you learned something you didn't know about gifts. And no matter how long I talk about this, I cannot assume that I know all the customs there are about giving gifts in different countries around the world. So I was hoping you might share some of the special gift-giving traditions and customs, or etiquette, that's the word we're going to talk about in this episode, in your own country. What is okay to give, what is not okay to give, especially the things that are usually okay to give but not in your own country. You may want to share some of that in the comments below so that we can all learn about the different customs related to giving gifts. Now, with that being said, let's move on now to the part we all love, and that is learning our 10 new words from the context of our story of today, giving gifts. So, our very first word is pitfall. We said while travel provides many opportunities to encounter new peoples and new cultures, it also has certain pitfalls. What do we mean by that? The pitfalls involved in a particular activity or situation are the things that may go wrong or may cause problems. It doesn't have to be danger, but sometimes it is danger, it is difficulty, it is a catch, it is this problem. So these are the pitfalls. And we spell pitfall, by the way, P-I-T-F-A-L-L, pitfall. And now for the next word, universal, U-N-I-V-E-R-S-A-L. Let's see how we use that in context. Now, I said although giving gifts to show friendship is an almost universal practice, gift-giving customs are not the same the world over. It's not the same all around the world. Yes, the idea of giving gifts to show friendship is an almost universal practice. I said an almost because in some places it is not, but it is almost a universal practice. So what do we mean by that, universal? Something that is universal relates to everyone in the world or everyone in a particular group or society. And thankfully, we have a lot of things that are universal because after all, we are all human beings, so we have a lot in common. But of course, we have our differences, and this is the thing that is beautiful about us, that we are different. We have those small differences between us, which make us special and interesting. But back to our word, universal. Universal is definitely not talking about the differences between us. It's talking about things that relate to everyone in the world or everyone in a particular group or society. Something general, something total. That is the word universal. And our next word, etiquette. E-T-I-Q-U-E-T-T-E. Etiquette. Now, we used it in context. We said, if you give a gift to someone from another country or culture, it is important to know the etiquette of that country. Well, what does that mean? You might have heard of this word. Obviously, it comes from French. Etiquette is a set of customs and rules for polite behavior, especially among a particular class of people or in a particular profession. And etiquette usually is not something that you can find written. It's not a set of rules like when we talk about laws or things you can't break because you will be caught. Or no, it's not like that. Etiquette is something understood by people. People know about this. Well, in some places they write about these things. There are books on etiquette, but usually it is something that is understood in a certain community. So yes, I said it is a set of customs and rules for polite behavior, but usually you have to learn these things by being with people, by learning from people. It is not just like you read about etiquette and you just go on your way. But saying that, yes, there are some courses on etiquette, especially etiquette in certain countries, and that's the point. Etiquette is not the same all around the world, it's different. And that's why it is important. If you give a gift to someone from another country or culture, you need to know the etiquette of that country. Now that brings me to the next word, potential. Because otherwise, what might happen? Otherwise, an act meant to show friendship might have the potential to upset both the giver and the receiver. So our word is potential. P-O-T-E-N-T-I-L. Potential. What does that mean? Now, if you give a gift to someone, obviously you want to show friendship, unless you're bribing that person, which is a different story, but we're talking about good intentions here. If you give this gift, you want to show friendship. You want to bring this person closer to you or bring yourself closer to that person, which is always a good thing, right? But sometimes it might have the potential to upset both the giver and the receiver. So, what is the meaning of potential? If you say that someone or something has potential for doing a particular thing, you mean that it is possible they may do it. If there is the potential for something to happen, it may happen. So the potential, we're talking about the possibility, the capability, the ability, something like that. It is possible to upset both the giver and the receiver. Might have the potential to upset both the giver and the receiver. So that is our word, potential. And the next word is antagonize. A-N-T-A-G-O-N-I-Z-E. We said in our topic, the wrong gift can insult or antagonize the person who receives it. What does that mean? If you antagonize someone, you make them feel angry or hostile towards you. You annoy them, you anger them, you insult them, you offend them. That is the meaning of antagonize. You wouldn't want to antagonize people because that will only drive them away from you. And when you give gifts, it's just the opposite. You want them to draw closer to you, right? So you need to know about the etiquette to avoid the potential of antagonizing people. That is our word, antagonize. And the next word is breach. Now, we talked about etiquette, and here we will talk about breaching the etiquette in certain areas. In our context, we said yellow daisies given to a sick friend would be a serious breach of etiquette in certain areas. Now remember, we said etiquette is this set of rules, invisible rules if you may. If you breach an agreement, a law, or a promise, you break it. So here it's like breaking the etiquette, violating, going against the etiquette of that country or of that area. So that is our word breach, B-R-E-A-C-H, breach. And now for our next word, offensive, O-F-F-E-N-S-I-V-E, offensive. Now, in context, we said, in some countries, yellow is a color you give an enemy. That's why giving yellow daisies might seriously breach the etiquette of that place. So here, in some countries, yellow is a color you give an enemy, so giving yellow flowers to a friend would be quite offensive. Well, this is not something offensive in most countries, but in some countries it is, so you need to know about that. But what is the meaning of offensive again? When we said offensive, could be offensive, quite offensive, something that is offensive upsets or embarrasses people because it is rude or insulting. So offensive, it is rude or insulting or both. Now, of course, when it happens unintentionally, it will be embarrassing, of course, but it wouldn't destroy the relationship between the two people, the two companies, or the two countries, but it's better to avoid offensive behavior like that. And that's why some people, especially companies and countries, hire experts to avoid doing anything that can be offensive. So that is our word, offensive. Now for the next word, eliminate. E-L-I-M-I-N-A-T-E. Eliminate. Now, because we talked about flowers, and we said that actually flowers is not an easy thing when it comes to giving gifts. A lot of meanings and symbols, and it's different from country to country. Even within the same country, sometimes it's different from an area to another area. So, you can save yourself some problems by avoiding giving flowers, but in context, I said that you cannot eliminate gift-giving problems entirely simply by avoiding flowers. Because there are other problems as well. There are other things you can give that can be offensive and can alienate and antagonize people. But here, what do we mean by eliminate? You cannot eliminate gift-giving problems. You cannot remove them, end them. To eliminate something, especially something you do not want or need, means to remove it completely. So that is the meaning of eliminate. But unfortunately, you cannot eliminate gift-giving problems entirely simply by avoiding flowers. Some people think it's easier not to give flowers and anything else would be okay. Unfortunately, that's not true because, as I said later in the topic, Sometimes clocks can be a problem. Sometimes sharp things can be a problem. A lot of things, a lot of customs. And once again, that's why I would really like you to share some of the special customs, especially some of the uncommon customs, the ones you think is not universal. Something that is local, special in your area or in your country. You might share that and we can all learn about the different customs related to giving gifts around the world. And of course, that will give us some information if we want to give gifts to someone in your area. We will learn more about the etiquette and we will avoid some of the problems that might occur that may offend people, that might be offensive. All right, so that was eliminate, E-L-I-M-I-N-A-T-E, eliminate. What about the next word, alienate, A-L-I-E-N-A-T-E? In context, I said in some cultures, giving the gift of a clock could alienate the recipient rather than drawing him or her closer to you. So you give gifts because you want to draw this person closer to you. That's the main point, right? Again, I said, not if you try to bribe someone, that's a different story. But in general, people give gifts to draw other people closer to them. Sometimes just because they're friends, sometimes because they're lovers, but in any case, the main target is to draw this person, him or her, closer to you. But the opposite of that is to alienate. If you alienate someone, you make them become unfriendly or unsympathetic towards you. You antagonize them. Something like antagonize, annoy, anger, offend them. You drive them away instead of drawing them closer. So you need to keep that in mind. You want to draw people closer to you. Pay attention. Don't do anything that might be offensive that will lead eventually to antagonizing them or alienating them. So that is our word, alienate. And for our very last word for this episode, cultural. C-U-L-T-U-R-A-L, cultural. Now let's take a look at how we use that in context. I said with so many cultural differences, you may wonder how international business people can stay out of trouble. Because international business people, they travel to different countries and it might be common to give gifts to people from other companies, not to bribe them, it's just to show good intentions. And it is a custom, but you need to be careful. You wouldn't want to go to a country and give the wrong gift to a CEO, for example. That would definitely tell the CEO that you haven't done your homework. If you don't know anything about our customs, how could I possibly trust you to do business with you? That is a serious thought. It's not only about money in some countries. Well, in some countries, it's only about money, I have to admit. But in some other countries, no, they care about customs. Because if you don't care enough to learn about the customs of this country, of the country that this CEO or this company belongs to, this CEO or the company wouldn't trust you to do business with you. If you don't care to know about us, how can we trust you? But back to our word cultural. Cultural means relating to a particular society and its ideas, customs, and art. It's like to say national, native, folk, something like that. That is the cultural part of a country. Because as we said, with so many cultural differences, you may wonder how international business people can stay out of trouble. Well, actually, the good ones hire experts. They are etiquette experts. They tell them what to do and what not to do, which gift to buy and which gift not to buy. And it's also about which gift to buy at which time, etc. If you're giving this gift to a man or a woman, it's also different because that might be okay to give to a man, but it's not okay to give to a woman. It will be antagonizing, it will be offensive, or something like that. So that was our last word for today's episode. I hope you learned new words today. I hope you learned some words you didn't know about, or at least you learned how to use these words better. Maybe you know these words, but you didn't know exactly how to use them. So I hope I added something to your information in this episode. The 10 words we talked about, just to remind you again, are pitfall, universal, etiquette, potential, antagonize, breach, offensive, eliminate, alienate, and cultural. So with that, we come to the end of our episode. Don't forget, there's a lot more on my website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com. The link to the custom post I created for this episode is in the description of this episode. So go to the description, click on the link, go to my website, practice more. And by the way, there is a lot of practice, so you're not meant to do them all in one day. And that's not the point. I want you to go there, just do a couple of exercises, then come back tomorrow, 2 days from now, a week from now, a month from now to remember the words and cement them in your active vocabulary bank. If you really want to build your vocabulary, that would be a very good way. That's why I created all these exercises. So whenever you come back to the post, you will find new exercises to do. And don't forget about our second and very important link in the description that will take you to my Patreon page where you can become a patron of our learning community, support me and support our learning community to survive, grow, and thrive with your help. With your help, there's nothing we can't do. And with that being said, this is your host, Danny. Thank you very much for listening to another episode from English Plus Podcast. I will see you next time.